I'm traumatized. Like, I'm scared. I'm scared of trusting you and you trusting me and me loving you and whatever. But it's a hard loss because then you're like, this memory, this place all reminds me of this person. But then all you can do is think of it negatively. Like, all it does is remind me of this person that didn't do this for me, or this person that hurt me, or this person that I constantly was waiting to show me love. Now I can't experience this thing anymore.
This is Sad Boy Radio.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sad Boy Radio. I'm your host, Matt, and today we got a very special guest in the building. These days, artist to watch. Recently locked in with Asar, Kami, and Gold Haze.
Whole world.
The whole world. Yeah, you've been locking with the whole world for real.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You're basically a music prodigy.
Thank you.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Senite. I just kind of do with everything. Just kind of have my hand everywhere, collab, do it all, try it all.
You be all over for real.
I really do.
How did you start locking in with all these different people? That's the real question.
Everyone was just wanted a piece. That's all I got to say. People was like, oh, shit. I really think, because I love the music, people can see that, which I hope is the case. But I also think it's just like a person thing. Like, I'll meet these people and they'll be like, oh, shit, like, you're actually not an irritating person. Like, let's probably record something. But I also am like a fake cloud. Like, I'll be like, yeah, I'm the best. And then they'll be like, okay, let's go. And then it'll be some raw shit. And I'll be like, I told you. Like, that's really just like the exact ABC structure.
Who's the first one you locked in with?
First one I locked in with?
Yeah.
First one I locked in with, probably Sunny.
Mm-hmm.
So my friend Nate was like the first person that like I met that had a beat for me, and he's close with Sunny. Sunny was like, I have a song for you. And then he was like, just send me a voice memo to it. It was really crazy. But then I think he was the first person I recorded or like locked in with. And then it was like Nombre Kari after that, probably.
They're homies, right?
Yeah, they're dogs. And then,
Okay.
damn, probably then like in the order, it was like just people that knew me. And then they were like, oh, she's taking music serious. And then like those friendships. And then I just kind of like went into like, I don't know how it happened, but it just branched out.
Yeah, because I feel like those are two separate groups.
Oh
like,
my God,
Sunny
yeah.
and Kari are like separate from obviously like KO, Asar, Hayes. Like even KO, Asar, and Hayes aren't really like together.
They're not even
but
together.
I had this conversation with KO. I don't know if he mentioned it to you.
Yeah.
When I think of like KO and Asar, I think Senite. And
yeah.
different groups that you see working together all the time, like OG Stevo, you think of OG Stevo, Mellow Bucks, like
it's like genres though within Chicago. KO though, the way I met KO, he posted on Twitter and was like, or on X, whatever. He was like, I need a female vocalist to get on this track. And then Alejandro, like Dro in the Wind, tagged me and was like, you should lock in with Senite. I never heard of KO, never met him, nothing. First time I met him was at Fort Knox at the session. Recorded. That was the first time I ever met him. I didn't even know what he looked like. I didn't even know his real name. Like, I was like, I didn't even know when I have a session with someone, I want to know what I'm like getting into. I didn't even know what to look up. Because I looked up KO, nothing came up. I was like, is it KO Southside? I'm like, who is this guy? And I still didn't know him. And then I recorded the track and he was like, oh, like, she's not bad. And I was like, yeah, like, duh. And then after that, that's literally like one of my like favorite people on planet Earth. And then even Asar was random too. Like Asar, I actually locked in with at a Gold Haze session. And Gold Haze was on live. And Asar was like, I'll pull up right now. And I was like, his ass will never pull up because he was supposed to get on the song with me and KO. And he didn't pull up.
Was that the Oreo time?
That was the Oreo time. I will get re-triggered if I talk about it. But that was then. So he didn't pull up to that KO session.
So you already had like a bad...
I had a whole thing about Asar. I was like, he got an ego. He don't pull up nowhere. He don't care about nobody. And me, I'm a punctual person. I'm going to be there. I'm going to record this verse and I'm finna go. He was supposed to record a verse of the KO thing. He was dragging all comment. I think he ended up flaking. And then I was like, ugh. This man has such an ego. And then the Gold Haze session happens and I'm trolling on this live and I'm like, you won't pull up for real? And he was like, yes, I will. An hour later, he did pull up. And then I locked in with him, I guess. And then after that, then I locked in with him one-on-one. But that was like the like order.
That's funny as fuck
I
because
know.
like when you think of Sar, like you don't even think ego, honestly.
No, that's why. But I didn't know him, and I was like, you know, I even had a show with him, and we didn't even meet at the show. We were on the same lineup, and like I never introduced myself to him because I was kind of like intimidated. I was like, oh shit. And this is like the earlier stage of my career, and I was like, I don't really know him. I'm kind of terrified, so I never met him. But I just had this like preconceived notion in my mind that was like he's a asshole and probably has such an ego. But then I met him, and he's actually like one of the greatest, sweetest people I've ever met.
But for you, right? Because it's about you.
Yeah, we could talk about him all day.
How did starting at the People's Music School help establish this love for music you have?
Honestly, it made me hate it. Real life. Like, I hate school. Point blank, period. So when I started, it was like you have to go to theory class, you have to do homework, then you have to practice your instrument, then you have to like show it every time you're in class. So I hated the idea of it that like I went to it after school, then I had to do that on top of my own homework. I'm like, bro, this shit is so lame. And I was like, I didn't enjoy it. I started playing violin, bro. Like, what the fuck? Like, what? And I hated that. And then I played piano, and I like hated that. And then guitar, I loved, not gonna lie. And that was like when I really started to grow my love for it. And then I think the thing about like being classically trained, it kind of like triggers something in your brain to like appreciate structure. And like that's why I'm punctual. That's why I'm very like specific about how things are. I feel like it became a strength. But then I feel like once I was able to kind of branch out of the classical world, I was like, dang, music is deeper, way deeper than people think. Like it's not just like a sonic relief for your ears. Like it's emotional, it's beautiful, it's physical. Like when you see somebody playing piano and their whole body is moving and they're crying over the keys is like this emotional thing. And then that was when it was like I could write music, I could write a composition, and it could be emotional. And then that was kind of what triggered it for me, was like this is a tool for how I feel.
How many times has that happened to you where you're sitting at the piano crying and shit?
Every time I touch the keyboard or any piano, anytime, every time. I think learning piano in the beginning stages was difficult. It was really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really did not enjoy it at all. But once I really got a grasp on what I enjoyed sonically, like it becomes almost like how people feel like working out is. Like it's hard and it's rigorous, but the relief after, when you see the like beauty or the differences that your body makes after working out on a consistent basis, is like me on the piano or me playing guitar or me writing it all, is like I'm like actively releasing these muscles that are so tense emotionally. And while I'm releasing this, I'll probably cry, but it feels good. Like it's like the best way I can I don't know, it's the best way I could express myself to myself.
And the gym comparison, I just started going to the gym again like a month ago.
Really?
And I was like, man, fuck this shit.
I know, right?
I'm
It's
good.
like I hate it.
It sucks.
Yeah.
But once you get it done, 2
It
hours
feels
later,
good.
you're like, damn, that shit hit.
Hey, look at me now.
You go home, you feel better. You could eat some shit and not feel bad about it. And then on top of that, you just feel more productive afterwards.
Starting your day eating something healthy, like that's the same feeling as like, how people obviously encourage therapy. Like this is free therapy. Like I'm going to actively be able to release something without anyone asking me a question. But it's like how people see writing or even reading or like yoga or stretching. I feel like I use that the same as I use writing music on an instrument.
For you, hating the idea of being in school and learning music, did it make you feel far away from the music?
Yeah, I mean, it took me a long time to want to do it because I was like, bro, this is so lame. Like, I hate school, like, with my whole heart and soul. I used to cheat on my theory tests. Like, what are you doing tonight? Like, please, like, stay focused. But, like, I used to steal I have a twin sister, and she was way smarter than me in theory. So I just copied what she did, and I didn't learn shit, like, at all. But I don't know what triggered it for me. I think it was like the open mic era where I was like, damn, this is actually a flex that I know all this stuff. And then I was like, okay, I could use it as a flex, or I could use it as a strength. And then that was kind of just like, even in high school, we had like piano rooms and shit. And I was like, I don't even want to eat lunch over there. I'm finna eat it at the piano just because it was a closed room. And then I was like, there's a piano here. I know how to play. Let me cry. I don't know. I think the transition was just like, I was very confused and I went through a lot when I was young. And because of that, I was like, how can I release this? And I was a very angry kid. And then when I started like writing music, I didn't feel so like angry anymore. I felt like I had control over something, you know?
What's one of those things that you were going through that you felt like you needed to get out?
A lot, bro. Like, you know, I'm the youngest in my family. We're immigrant, where my parents came as refugees from Eritrea. It's a big transition to come here at all. And then for us to be first generation, that's a whole different amount of pressure where it's like you have to make sure you're creating a sustainable lifestyle for yourself because this is what we came here for. And then that pressure was like crazy because then I went from like a all African immigrant middle school and then went to a predominantly white institution for high school. It was like this culture shock. And then it was like a pressure flip where I was like, I hate school, but I'm with all these white people that have parents that have been owning businesses for a million years and are nepotism babies or whatever. And like that pressure was frustrating. And then I was like just a fucking child. Like I was literally a little girl. And like I was realizing that I was growing and there were, as a woman, like it's hard, but as a girl, it's difficult where it's like there are people that are evil. There are people that don't care about your well-being at all. And then when I learned that people don't, because I had to experience that people didn't, it was frustrating because then it was like, well, now I have to live with this forever. What can I do to help myself? And like people can resort to drugs or abuse or even just depression or in any way physical harm. But like I was like, well, that's kind of lame. Like how can I not do that? Because then I was like, you know, even from where I was at, you know, I grew up in Uptown and obviously it's changing now. But at that time, like I didn't want to become the people that I saw that I was taught not to be. And I was like, how can I help myself in a healthy way? And I was like, music is the only way that I could do this. And that was the healthiest route I could take for like grievance, but it was strong, you know, it worked out in my favor.
And that's the good thing about being a singer and artist, right? You find ways to healthily express yourself because I mean it can be healthy, it can be unhealthy.
Yeah.
Because now you only rely on that. You're leaning on that and it can almost become a crutch.
Yeah.
It's a good thing and a bad thing, right? A gift and a curse.
Right.
Because it could be a crutch and that could be what you're leaning on and that's your only form of self-expression. So now you're laying it all on the line in your art and then if nobody listens to it, it almost makes you feel just as bad as if you were to just hold it in sometimes, right?
Exactly.
But then there's that side where, okay, I let it out and maybe now I'll be okay or I'll at least start to feel better.
Right.
For you, you mentioned that you started writing when a family member had passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Why was this so important for you to get out?
I was fairly young when my brother passed and he was 20 years old. So he was really, really young.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't like process in my mind yet. He's like 9 years older than me. So I was 11 or something like that. I was fairly young, you know? And at that time, this was like during the like gang era, murder everywhere. People are killing each other all the time. Every side has a side that you can't be on the streets of. And it was something that I still was barely processing. Also because my parents were, you know, coming from a mindset of like everything in America is evil and bad and we have to be sheltered in any way possible. But when my brother died, I was like blindsided, you know, like I had no idea what he was getting into. I didn't know who he was around. We didn't know that stuff. You know, I thought because he smelled like loud, I thought he was smoking cigarettes. Like I was so sheltered and out of my mind that I was so like I had no idea what was like coming before me. And when he passed, I learned so much about his life, you know, like who he was around, the type of people that he was cool with. And after that, I felt like I needed to grow up really fast. Like I needed to understand the spaces that he was in and where he was at and who he was with and what he was doing because I felt so cut out from that world. So I did a crash course on everything he was doing, what I could get, what I could learn. And I felt so out of reach, out of touch with it that it was so frustrating. And it made me angry. I was like, damn, I had no idea what was going on. And I was young. It was not like I could have stopped anything. But like, because I didn't know so much, it was also like a very like difficult grief. I was really young and I was like, damn, like he was supposed to buy me Skittles tomorrow. He was supposed to pick me up that day. Like things like that where I was like, I'm frustrated. And then I just became an angry little girl. Like I was pissed off.
Do you feel like you wanted to know so much so that you could feel closer to him?
I feel like when somebody has an identity that you don't know anything about, if you have any access to learning even just a little bit, it only makes you want to like understand why, or like see and understand what took what where, like at what point, what clicked, what was it? I wonder how could I have avoided this situation? It was absolutely a way to make me closer to him, especially because I was so young. I was like, he will not tell me this. Like, if you being bad, why on earth would I tell my little cousin that I'm doing something bad or I'm doing something wrong or whatever? I would never admit that to somebody that looks up to me or admires me, which I understand. Like, my brother would never tell me that shit. Maybe when I'm in 20 years later, like, but because of that, I also felt like it was like secrets, like that I needed to know the answers to. And I even like went through his room the week he passed because I was like, what could I find? Of course, I still have questions even now, and it's been a long time. And I, at that point, was like, okay, now that I'm like, I've understood this secret life, I had no way to learn about. How can I process this? And then it was like damn, I'm not gonna have a big brother to help me out this situation. I have another brother as well. But even that, I was like, he was like the biggest brother and he was like 6'3" and big as hell and played basketball. And
The one that passed away?
yeah, the one that passed away, he was like just the like overly big, taller than my dad, like all that shit. And like that was huge for me. It was like one of those like big brother take you on a walk to the corner store, like sneak and get candy for you or whatever. You know, that was like a really big loss for me emotionally. I'm the youngest girl and I felt like we had a lot in common because we were both like bad. And I had no idea.
You didn't realize how bad he
was?
was?
Hell nah. I got suspended from school for cheating on a test and I called him like, hey, like I got suspended for cheating. He's like, Senite, bro, what's wrong with you? You lying little, like what? How you a whole ass lie. I like, even now, like I laugh about it like, he mad at me for getting suspended from school, but boy, your ass was getting caught up. Like, shut up. But even that, like, that was what made me feel close to him. Because then after that, I was like left with everyone that be following the rules and not getting in trouble, which is my siblings. And I was always the one just getting caught up. And I'm like, damn.
Did that change the way that you looked at him?
In a way, yes. Because then I felt like he was a liar. Like, I even was mad. Because I was like, I'll never forget how mad he was when I got caught up cheating. I'm like, you little... Because he left that night. And, like, we got his whole back and forth. But I'm like, and that's where you went? Like, things like that where I'm like, wow, like, look what you did. So, yes, it did make me look at him differently. But I also was like, he was a young black man in 2013. 2010 to 2014 was like all the youth just being bad. I couldn't blame him for it too. That was something I had to learn fast. Like, I can't be mad at him. He's already dead. What am I finna do? Like, it doesn't do anything for me. It took a long time, but eventually I had to be like, that was just the plan that was had or made for him, you know? But it did make an impact.
So what do you feel like is the most important thing he taught you?
For one thing, understanding relationships. You know, of course, there were some things hidden here and there, but he really loved his siblings, his family, you know? Like, if it was anything that he was loyal. Like, I learned that that loyalty, that form of loyalty, that kind of loyalty, he's like a type of person that's very ride or die for somebody that he loves. And I think, and even to this day, people still praise his personality, who he was, who he is. Like, I think he taught me that being kind and treating people how you would want to be treated was beneficial in some way, if not in every way. I feel like for him, he's a very personable person, and had a lot of charisma, and was almost not the loudest person in the room, but one of the like coolest people in the room that everyone want to gather around. I think he taught me that being genuine and staying authentic and true to yourself was the only way that you can sustain and have beautiful relationships.
I think that's something you do well. I mean,
What?
obviously, right? You build these relationships
Yeah.
with I don't want to say hundreds, but you build a lot of relationships
Yeah.
throughout the city.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not including the people that we don't know of, right? Because you also got your business, the Black Room.
Mhm.
That's something that you have to put in constant work and constantly building new relationships that are gonna succeed and be beneficial for both parties, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's a great lesson that he left you with.
Yeah, for
Un-
sure.
For you, relationships have seemed to be negative. You got a lot of negative shit out there on the relationship aspect in your songs, right?
Okay.
We find ourselves mourning people that are still alive,
Right.
but we have no relationship with them anymore.
Mhm.
And that can be either due to this relationship isn't healthy for me anymore,
Right.
or that can just be the fact that this relationship is broken beyond repair.
Exactly.
Maybe it is repairable and you just don't want to fix it anymore, right?
Right.
For you in your song Energy, you say, pull up when you get success, promise they'll be there for this, leave you when you make a mess, and take the places that you sit, and they don't care.
They don't care.
How have relationships like this impacted your ability to build new ones?
While I was grieving my brother, I went through this really crazy stage of like, how is everyone around me going to benefit me in a way of like, I need people to support me, and how am I going to create a system of support? But I also was at a place where I was like young, so young, and did not understand what relationships were. I felt like either everyone was lying or I just didn't know anything. Like I had already a little bit of trust issues, but I also had this expectation, like a really insane expectation of people on a regular, consistent basis. Especially when I was in high school, I went to a predominantly white institution. Like the only Black people there were the only ones that we had. Like that's it. Like it was not like, oh, there's some colored people here and people of color here. This is how it's going to separate. It was like, nah, we are all locked in and it's only 10 of us here. So we will all be friends forever. And even that, they were the people that I came with from middle school. Like it was the same thing. And even in those relationships, I had these really wild expectations of my friends where I was like, you need to make time for me. And when I make time for you, I'd like for you to reciprocate. And I'm a very loving person where I will give gifts and serve and cater and do all these things because I was taught to treat people the way I want to be treated. And the way that it translated was, if I treat people the way I want to be treated and I want to be treated like a queen, I'll treat everyone like king, queen, or whatever, and I took that and I was hoping all the time to be reciprocated at all times. And I never was on a regular basis. I was like, dang, I just planned this whole little surprise birthday party for you and you didn't even get me a cupcake. Like I was very disappointed so much, and it made me angry, and it made me have trust issues, and it made me constantly expect the lowest out of everyone. And maybe I'd be surprised or I'd be even more disappointed when no one could meet my expectations as low as I put them. And then it made me have trust issues. And then people would fall off with me and it would just be here and there. But I also had a tendency to I'm an Aries, bro. I'll light a fire and walk away. You feel me? Like I'll be real. In high school, I was messy, bro. I didn't care. I was just like, man, I don't like y'all. This is what I'm finna do, XYZ. I regret it a lot, but I'm like, I learned from it. Now I know that doesn't work for me. But because of that, I had these really heartbreaking falling outs with these really close people. and they wouldn't tell me what I did wrong, or they wouldn't talk to me, or they wouldn't have a conversation with me, and I just had to assume whatever happened. But I felt like it was even more disrespectful that no one could face me. And then I'd see them like do what I was doing, or be where I was at, or hang out with the people I was with. And I'm like, ugh, y'all are irritating. And then because of that, I was like, I cannot have a sustainable friendship because I'm constantly going to be backstabbed. So how could I have my guard up before anyone could do anything to me? And then that created a wall, but I'm also a very open person. So it didn't work out ever, because then I still was like, oh, maybe they are nice. Maybe I will give them the benefit of the doubt. And then I get disappointed, and it's like a loss. Like I grieve them, and the way when I get disappointed, I'm like heartbroken. Like I'm like, damn, look what you did. Whatever. And it made it hard for me to have relationships with people, especially good ones. I'm a like girl's girl. Like I love being a girlfriend and hanging out with my girls and being there for my friends. And even that, because I have brothers and cousins, I'm also like a guy's girl. That sounds like so disgusting, but it played a part, you know?
Have you found it hard for you to build relationships?
No.
See, I'm an Aries too.
No way.
And I never easily built new relationships.
Really?
Yeah, I never easily built new relationships. Matter of fact, a lot of people didn't like me.
Really? Why? Yeah. They won't tell you, right?
Just didn't like me.
They don't. They literally just be deciding that they don't like you. For real.
That sounds terrible, because now it just sounds like we're making
like,
up some shit.
Like
we're fucking victims and shit.
We're in
but
our delusions.
That's just how it was. Mm-hmm. Like people didn't like me, and I was like, all right, whatever. Like I do this better anyways, or like
right?
I'm like this. Like it don't matter to me, because at the end of the day, like you're gonna be where you are. I'm gonna be where I am.
Exactly.
And I mean, over time, right? Once you grow out of being a fucking teen and a kid, like realistically, the only reason people don't fucking like you is if you're just a dick. Like, like you're straight up like just a terrible person.
Exactly.
Like that's the only reason. That's nowadays people don't like you.
Exactly.
But back then, like everybody found a reason to like, dislike you.
Like for real, it's crazy.
So that's why I ask you, like, did you ever find it hard to build those relationships? Because for me, it was like there was no room. Like I had my friends who were my friends, and even then, like I didn't really even talk to them. Now I talk to them a lot more, but back then it was like they had their own shit going on, whatever.
Right. Now that you just got me thinking, I'm like in middle school. So I have a twin sister. She's like the greatest person of all time. Can you imagine comparisons like all the time?
Is she actually the greatest person of all time?
She really is. Like she's so sweet. She's so kind. She was way more athletic than me. And she was like, I don't know why. I also felt like people just didn't like me. Like they just was like, man, like they just decided that they didn't like. I'm like, what did I do? And I have a twin sister, so they're like, yeah, we like her better. And it was kind of crazy, but like, and I even like resented my sister for it because they constantly compared me with my sister. It created this trope in my mind where I was like, everyone's just gonna constantly dislike me. And then it even just gave me a lot of anxiety where I was like, damn, everything I do, everyone's gonna criticize or have something against. So that played a part for sure. But then I was also so eager to make sure I had friends or made friends or was cool with everybody. That's why in high school, I was cool with everybody. I liked having a sustainable surface friendship where I don't have to constantly talk to you. But when I see you, we're the coolest ever. And then my closest friends, I wanted to have really core relationships with. And it was rigorous for them because I was like, let's hang out. Let's do this. I have something planned. We're finna plan this and I'm finna do this. And I was like, I'm a planner, bro. Like, oh, I'll plan all day. I'll have a whole 4-course meal and a 3-adventure visit. Like,
a 3-adventure visit is crazy.
I'm like, well, I was really overly doing that, but I had this expectation for my friends to think the same as me and to be the same as me. And then that was when I was like, damn, maybe it is just hard to be cool with everyone, and maybe everyone just don't like me.
There's a song you got. I couldn't find it. I just looked at my notes. There's a song you got where you talk about people only knowing you at the surface.
Yeah, I don't know the song. I actually like contemplate deleting each.
Why,
bro? Because like the second project, the living room, that wasn't even like my doing. Like that was other people curating it, like on some like weird control, young artist shit.
But you gotta finish the series now.
I will.
You
I'm working on the album right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's just taking me a lot because I want it to be fully me, but I don't want to like be random.
How much of the guest room was you?
It was all me, but it was like, what do I want people to hear? And then, because the point of the guest room was like, it was songs for people to hear as they're coming into my home. So it was supposed to be specifically curated around what I wanted to tell people. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like it was about me, but it was like me telling my story to somebody else. So for them to listen and relate if they had the room to. So it was me. It was all me, but it was still like not Senite. Like, that's what the point of the album is going to be, is like everything is super emotional. And
I mean, like you said, that's the introduction to who Senite is, and it's the build up, right? Because then you get to the living room, which the idea behind the living room is
it's like supposed to be comfort. Like, you're at that point, you took off your jacket, you got your shoes off, you're in your couch or in somebody's couch, and you're comfortable. You changed your pajamas because you just got off the plane, and now y'all are talking about, oh, so how's the marriage going? You know, like things like that. Or, oh, you fell off with boo, boo, boo. How did that go? Oh, you and them broke up. How did that go? That's the point of the living room, is like the vision of it is like two people that are comfortable, but like are telling stories about what's already known at that point. And then the hallway is like the segue. In my room is like.
So what's the album going to be called?
It's going to be called In My Room. So like, it's just the guest room, the living room, the hallway, in my room.
I just didn't know if you were going to name it something else. I
don't know. Now I'm like, I feel like I've been telling everybody. I'm like, shit, let me just change it just just to mess up the whole
it's
plan.
A night's room.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but I was like,
the black room.
That's why I'm like, damn, now everyone's going to think that I'm just so obsessed with this room trope, but like, I don't know. It's going to be called In My Room, and it's like the point of it is, you know, like when you come to somebody's house and say like a kid lived there all their lives and they have posters there from 10 years ago and they've been sleeping on the same bed frame for the last 8 years. Like, the point is for it to feel worn and it to feel like deep and like almost old, but like really deep. Like, to me, because I have a big family, like the only place that I had privacy was in my room, even though I shared my room with my sister, but like my bed was mine.
That shit about to be crazy.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it takes so long.
Just the concept, right? And that's what I was telling you about earlier, that I was like, let's wait. But the concept of, right, the guest room. Yeah. Like you said, it's where people get to know you. The living room, you're comfortable, you're chilling. Now you're really talking about, you know, the deeper shit. Even though I almost feel like the guest room was a little bit deeper than the living room.
Really?
And the hallway, the concept between the hallway and In My Room and singles being photos, that shit was crazy. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think about shit.
I was like, damn, that shit hit.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you can't tell, I'm very much like the person, the details. The details is the most important part, because somebody will just put some shit out and be like, oh, well,
that's
it is what it is. But when you have those details and the meaning hits a little bit deeper, that's what relates to everybody. That's the reason why somebody's going to continue to listen to this 5 years later, because it has substance. It's something that I felt, and I felt over and over and over. Like with Billionaire, how you say, if I charged for how much I loved, I'd be a billionaire right now.
Right.
I know everybody has referenced this line to you.
Song.
They love that fucking line. But because it's true, because for a lot of people, they love so hard and they give their all and they never see anything back from it.
Exactly.
That they feel like, well,
they got took.
This is why I can't love the same anymore. This is why I can't trust anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the concept that I used to think about a lot was the fact that you could love somebody so much, they could have been your whole world. But to them, you meant nothing.
But you don't know it because you're so deeply enjoying giving them love.
Or just the fact that you're so infatuated with the person that to you being next to them is the whole world.
That's it. That's all I need. Oh, yeah.
Man, when I started this podcast, I was going through it.
Yeah.
And that was the concept. I was like, bro, like you can actually, I wasn't going through it as much, but I had seen those characteristics start to flip, right?
Right.
I had started to be the person that was getting everything instead of giving, and other people started to mean less to me than what I meant to them.
Wow.
I know it sounds fucked up.
No, but it's real that you even know that though. That's like the awareness is like admirable for real.
But I think that's where it all started. That's the understanding of that came from, right? Because at that time, when it was me in the other shoes, it was, it's not like that. What are you talking about? And then when it became the other way around, I was like, damn, like it really be like that out here.
For real.
Do you regret giving this amount of love to the people that you had given it to?
Yes. Oh my gosh. If I can get them years back, ooh. Like, I'm serious. I'm a deep lover. Like, I'll like love so hard that like I don't even see how hard I'm loving, right? If I'm met with the absolute bare minimum or nothing at all I do at that point is I build resentment, and then I'm counting all of the times like it was tit for tat at that point. I was like, I did this. I bought you tickets to your favorite artist concert, and I bought you shoes. I bought you this. I bought you that. I took you here. I picked you there. I got you this. I did that. These are all the things I've done for you. And then when I go into this deep thought of like, what did you even do for me? And I have to really think about it. Oh, that's so many years of my life I've just given to somebody. They didn't ask for it. They didn't even need it. Like, they were good. Like, they definitely did not need my overexertion of love. And sometimes I get scared because I'm a deep lover. I still am, even though I regret those years and I had to accept that I will never get those years back that I've deeply loved somebody, friend or partner. And it taught me, obviously, like I have to be weary about if I'm ready to experience that. But it also makes me understand my worth enough to know I'm not gonna show this and this until I've seen a little glimpse or what it is that I know I'm gonna give. And like that's damn near the criteria of being close to me is like as long as I have some type of reciprocation, like I'm absolutely comfortable with it. But like I regret it. That's why I said if I charge for I'll be a billionaire. Like I'm serious. Like that was what made me think about it. I spent like 8 months with somebody where
That's
I was
it?
like, no. This is a work relationship. And this was
Okay.
like I was working like every single day and I'm working. I'm building all this stuff and I'm creating all these things. And I absolutely got not even a little bit of benefit in return just because I thought I was working towards something that would benefit me. And that actually was what triggered the song Billionaire. Was I like drove hours and hours back and forth to like work at all these times and I regretted it. I was like, damn, like I didn't even get compensated. Like I was like, damn, I even spent money on this. Like if I could get money back, if I could write this out on my taxes, I would, but I can't. And that was what, triggered this like wall with building relationships with people in music. Like, yes, I'm collecting features like the 6 rings. Like that's my new ongoing joke. Like I am the Thanos of Chicago, like for real. But like even that, I'm always weary because then I'm like, damn, like I'm even scared to say this. Like I get scared of like recording with somebody and then they just use what I have and source it to someone else. Like that's a fear I genuinely have because I experienced it. Like that's some real
That's crazy.
industry shit. Ooh, you have no idea the stories, but that was what triggered it. I was like, damn, I had no idea what I was signing up for. If I can get anything in return, let it be money. Like, let it be something. And I couldn't control it. I couldn't beg for somebody to like treat me right. Like, what do I look like doing that? But like, it built this wall.
So then how is putting distance between these people allowed you to grow?
You have to create these really healthy boundaries to operate a healthy relationship. I feel like sometimes people take it as mean, then those people shouldn't be around you. Like if no one can respect it, then they should have no room to be around you. Normally, if somebody even told me like, yeah, I had a little cough, I'll pull up to your house with a basket of everything I know will heal you. Only because I'm like, I would love for someone to do that for me. So I'll do that for you. And once I'm sick, get well soon.
Yeah, you don't see that.
So then I had to learn for myself, I don't need to go out of my way to make this person feel better.
I've had the same issue.
Right.
And people have called me transactional because of it. Because they feel like I'm not doing things because I care. They feel like I'm doing things because I want something out of it. But my whole thing is, why would you not do the same thing that somebody is doing for you if you genuinely love and care about them?
Exactly. Are you crazy?
It just doesn't make sense to me.
No.
So then I don't want to get too deep into it, but
shit, I'm listening.
But then you get gaslit into being told like, I don't know, what are you talking about? You're just a transactional. Like, it doesn't have to be like that. Like, you should be doing things because you care.
Like,
well, why aren't you doing it?
Exactly.
What? If you don't care about me enough to do the same thing that I'm doing for you, then what are we doing here?
Why are we here? Exactly. But that's the thing is, like, I even had to count for that too, where I was like, I've had moments where I had to like sit down and tell myself to chill out because of how much I just love to give love. Like even if I just started having a friendship with somebody, I have this like really bad tendency to like, quote unquote, hook them with like, this is what our friendship will look like.
You're a love bomber?
I'm a love bomber real bad. Guilty love bomber.
You don't feel like your experiences have pushed you away from trying to give so much?
I think a part of it is hopeful. Like, I think my experiences gave me this like delusion that if maybe there can be one good story from it. And I still even learn so many years later that like I will probably get disappointed, but like I'm always like, this could be the one time that like finally things will work out in my favor and me being good or being kind or loving or love bombing will work in my favor. And it hasn't worked so far. But there are sometimes people that, and to this, like right now, the people that are closest to me were, you know, experiencing my love bombing or whatever and have reciprocated. And like now I have sustainable, beautiful relationships with them because they know I am a ride or die person. Like once I feel like I am loyal to you and I feel like you're loyal to me, that's it. Point blank, period. I'm going to show up for you by any means. And that's every mean necessary, for real.
Where do you feel like that all started from, though? Do you feel like growing up, you had received the love and affection you needed and wanted?
Growing up, 5 siblings, 2 parents, yes, and a grandma that was around. And then I grew up with like 12 cousins that like lived in the area. So I was constantly around large amounts of people my age. And a majority of them were men or boys, whatever. But I think because of that, my twin sister and I were like the only girls almost all of the time. So because of that, it was like the guys were all doing their thing. And then we just had to like figure out what to do. Like we didn't know how to play GTA. Like they were not going to let us play GTA. And I think a part of it was this like yearning for like bridging the gap between something I could control and I couldn't control. And then I went into like a maternal catering like instinct at a young age where I was like, oh, well, maybe if I like learn how to bake this, then and everyone eats it, then everyone will be satisfied and fulfilled. And in some way I'll enter into this respect or consideration or inclusion, you know, like I feel like that was a trigger to how it kind of escalated into my adult life where it was like, oh, there's something missing here. I could bridge that gap. And while I bridge that gap, I can be emotionally satisfied and people can see me. And like, I think it was a matter of not attention, but it was just like, I just want to be considered, or I just want to be a part of somebody being like, oh, and her, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like now in the music industry, when people can appreciate what I do, that's like the most gratifying feeling. That's why I have no problem collaborating with people. Like KO and Asar made this joke about how they got me before I charged them a lot. And I was like it wasn't even a thought in my mind to do that. But it's also like because you considered me and you respect me and you appreciate me enough to include me in your art, like that's all I need. That's my comfort. And I think because I grew up around so many people, that's my comfort as well. Like just being in the presence of somebody. And like, I think that was the biggest thing that impacted how I see those relationships from growing up to now, is like just being in the presence of somebody that I love and appreciate or I admire is the satisfaction and gratification that I can receive.
Taking it back to, distancing yourself from people who aren't good for you anymore. Mm-hmm. You've constantly referred to these people as shitty people. Mm-hmm. Moving away from people is never a smooth process. Mm-hmm. It hurts. Like,
that shit's heartbreaking.
Even though you're the one that decided like,
to leave.
This isn't for me anymore.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I don't care about you anymore. That just means that I understand that it's never going to be something that's healthy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How did their absence impact you both emotionally and mentally?
Again, it's like grieving somebody. You're literally choosing for someone to be essentially dead to you in a way. Like, it, not to that extreme of a state, but like you're choosing for someone not to be around anymore, not to have access to you at the same state, but it's for your best interest, which is a hard decision, because then it's like, this is such a comfortable feeling. I'm risking being comfortable with this person because of my own well-being. Even though I actually really love their presence, they don't do anything for me in any way to benefit me. So then it's like man, you could have just fixed this and we could have been cool, but you don't care. And the only way I know that you don't care is because I keep asking you to change this thing, or I'm constantly waiting for you to do something and you're not doing anything. And that's where it becomes resentful, because then I'm waiting. And then all this time goes by. And one of my biggest pet peeves is wasting my time. That's why I'm a punctual person. I would never want someone to wait on me, like, because then I'm wasting their time. That's something I feel deeply guilty about. So for me, when I choose to lose somebody, I'm like, damn, like, I don't want to lose you, bro. But now I have to, and I have to let go of you. And you probably won't grieve at all, because you probably never cared. But this is going to be hard for me. And like, I've lost and choosing to let go of a lot of people in my life. And it's been hard. And I think it's gotten easier and easier the more people I let go of. But it's also like, it makes things harder for me too, where I'm like, man, I spent over 10 years creating a beautiful friendship with someone. And then for me to have to let go of them, I don't have room to make a new friend. Like, I'm traumatized. Like, I'm scared. I'm scared of trusting you and you trusting me and me loving you and whatever. But it's a hard loss, because then you're like, this memory, this place all reminds me of this person. But then all you can do is think of it negatively. Like, all it does is remind me of this person that didn't do this for me, or this person that hurt me, or this person that I constantly was waiting to show me love. Now I can't experience this thing anymore. And it's like, it's not my fault.
The thing is, when you have relationships like that it's like they haunt you, right? Those memories haunt you. And how do you let go of something that you do cherish? Mm-hmm. It just hurts to think about it. Man, it's rough out here. It'd be like that.
Sleepless nights, man.
What do you feel like's a situation that you wish didn't have to end the way it did?
So I lost my dad when I was like some years ago. And when I lost my dad, he passed away of cancer. And it was a short time. He found out June 2018 and he passed March 2019. So it was less than a year of him having cancer. And, I was there for him at the hospital, taking care of him. It was a really hard thing for me to experience as like somebody that has a close relationship with her dad and all this stuff. And I had a friend that knew all of these things, and I even had this like weird like love of the fact that they didn't have to be there for me, but that they knew it all. And I had this expectation of them that I learned now was an unfair one, but like I wanted them to like see how I was feeling and then heal every feeling that I had. And it was like, bro, like that's out of their control. But then once my dad passed, there was this flip where I was like, damn, like, do they even care about me? They're not here for me every single day, and they're not showing up for me every single day and constantly asking me if I'm good. And here I am acting angry while I'm grieving my dad, and they're not being patient with me, and they're not forgiving me right away, and nobody's checking me on the way I'm acting. And I resented them for it because I was like, damn, I was just angry as hell for 2 weeks, and you just let me be angry. Why didn't you just tell me to chill out? Like, I just did this really destructive thing. You could have stopped this because you knew everything that I was going through, and we both looked at the grieving stages together and these things where I expected these things, because I would have done that. I would have gone up my way to research what it's like to lose a parent and research how to process through these things and whatever. And I expected that from this person, and then we just fell off. Like, they just stopped talking to me, and I was like, what did I do? I'm constantly asking. They're like, nothing, bro. Like, you're good. And I'm like, okay, well, what did I do? And then they just was so distant from me that I was like, they hate me, bro. Mm-hmm. And that was so hard. And then I just like kept asking, what's wrong? What did I do? They just kept saying less and less. And then I just started talking to myself. Like, essentially, like, they just ghosted me. And it was so hard. It was this cycle where I'm like, please, bro, be honest with me. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. And I was so broken from that shit. Like, that shit was hard.
I don't mean to smile, but it's like, damn, she said I was talking to myself.
I was essentially talking to myself. Then COVID hit. That was it. That was the last time I saw that person. And literally, that was when I was talking to myself, calling, texting, trying for anything. And then I'm just confused, because then I'm like, did I do something? And I was like, I didn't do anything to them. Like, I did stuff that was destructive, yes, but was it to them? No. Maybe they watched it happen, but nothing happened. And that was heartbreaking. I had sleepless nights. I was grieving this person. I was angry at them. I was sad. I was like resentful. I was counting all the things that I did for them. I constantly was, I literally, it was like a parasite in my body that was like, this is the closest person to you, and they were with you when this really insane thing happened to you, and now they have nothing to do with you, and you have no control over it. And I'm somebody that has a problem with that. Like, I need to have some control in any way to make this decision, and I had no control, and it hurt, bro. It really sucked. Like, it was terrible. I was lonely for so long, wondering what I did wrong. And then I didn't see them maybe until a few years later, and it was on accident. And we finally talked about it, and they just read me for filth. Like, they were like, this was what was wrong with you. This is how you were this is what you were doing. And I understand you were grieving, but you were acting this way, and you were being selfish, and you weren't being thoughtful or considerate, or you didn't care about me, or you would pressure me to be with you all the time, or you would pressure me to take care of you and pressure me. And I'm like, damn, I was just asking for my friend. Like, damn, like, I was grieving my father. Like, I needed somebody to be there for me. And I was begging you to be there for me. And you had no capacity, and you couldn't even say that. It was just like excuses, excuses, excuses. And I had to just take it and be like, I did do that. And now it's like 5-6 years later, and I'm a much better and bigger person because of it. But it definitely, like, that was a hard loss. Like, that was super hard loss. Like, that was somebody my dad passed away remembering was my best friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was hurtful.
Like you said, you have no control over these situations that people just leave you hanging. That energy switch. When you notice that energy change and somebody just starts distancing themselves slowly and slowly and slowly, it's like, I can't do anything at this point. I can do everything I possibly want to.
There's nothing you can do.
Why did you feel like it was so necessary for you to have control over this?
It's like, this is not my decision. Like, it's like, why on earth, if it's anything, I should have a hand in this decision of you being pushed away from me?
That's like a breakup, right?
Exactly.
Because when somebody breaks up with you, it's not, most of the time, it's not a mutual thing. It's
one side.
I'm done and we need to go our separate
Exactly.
ways.
Exactly.
Now, the issue with breakups is most of the time people keep coming back until the other person finally says, okay, now I'm done.
Right.
So, but when there's that clean break where, okay, this isn't it anymore, I'm moving on, and you're just reaching for that person and you're trying to get them back, but everything you're doing just pushes them farther away.
Mm-hmm.
But you keep mentioning this thing of there were periods where you had no control over certain things. And that's why now you try to reclaim control where you can.
Right. Which is terrible.
What do you feel like was the toughest thing that instilled that feeling of not having control?
Once I lost my dad, that was it for me. I was like, I had no hand in that. Like, absolutely nothing I could do. And I think that was like the awakening for me, where I was like, because me as an Aries, I need to have a little knob to turn wherever I'm at, wherever I'm going, whatever. And at that point, I was like, I absolutely cannot control this timing right now. And it was like during my spiritual era, the universe is, yeah, for sure. And I was like, this is the universe's plan and whatever, this is out my hands. I think that at that point, that was when I was like, that's something I could not control. I had time to prepare, essentially, where I was like, this is going to possibly happen. I have to be aware of it. But then it still blindsided me too. So because of that, I had to create this like consistent thing where I have to be okay with some things that I can't control. And once I lost that friendship and I had absolutely no control over that, and I couldn't be like somebody, they weren't like, I'm done with you, this is over. Okay, that's the closure I need, but there was nothing. So it was like, I don't even know what's going on. Like, I just feel like a dumbass. Like, I just feel so stupid, and I couldn't control that. And then that was the cycle where I was like, that was the hardest breakup I've ever had in my life. Like, still the hardest one. And like those things, that experience taught me that with life comes control, but with it comes none at all. You know, like you have absolutely no control about the time that you're going to spend with somebody because you decided to make this time, and say you get betrayed or say something happens, like that's out of your control. You can't go back. You can't change it. All you can do is control what you're doing moving forward. So, all right, you backstabbed me, bet I'm going to have a shield on my back. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like here we go. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way that you can have control, is preparing yourself. And I feel like that's something that that's consistent in me, is like, okay, this person betrayed me. I'm going to always think there's going to be a slight opportunity for someone to betray me. So I'm going to be weary and keep this in the back of my mind, because that's the only thing that I can control.
So I've noticed in you, you're a very, like you said, you're a very giving person. You're somebody who loves to love on people, and at that, you like having people around you. You like having sustainable relationships that are healthy. But at one point, you had said that you had to learn that not everything revolved around everybody else. What did it take for you to get to that point?
It took like things going wrong for me to learn that not every relationship I had was one that needed to last forever. I think that was something that was in my control. Like, you know, it's hard to be in like big groups of people. It's hard to be even in like new small groups too, because then it's like, as somebody that has trust issues, that has a problem breaking down barriers, once I do, I have this like almost this attachment to you where I'm like, you know, all these things about me, and these are all these things that I have with you. And like, I had to learn, like, once people in any way like disrespected me or didn't consider me, or they used what I shared with them against me, I had to be like, okay, this is not a sustainable friendship, or this is not a relationship that is meant to be with me for a long time or at this level. And that's something that I have control over. So it's like, okay, well, we got deep. you couldn't swim that far, so now here we are at the surface, and we just gonna be floating here. Like, then that's just what it will be. Like, that's something that I had control over, and I think because of that, it did take some type of tilt or change for something to go wrong in order for me to learn those lessons. But those things hurt too, because then I was like, damn, like I could just hold a grudge and resent you forever. Like, that'll be easy. I could do that. But as somebody that's always growing and changing, I'm learning myself. Like, I make mistakes. I talk too much. I get messy.
Holding grudges is harder than just forgiving people, though.
Yeah. Because then it's like, now I got to be angry every time I see you. Like, I was having such a good day. Now look what you did. Like,
I forgot who told me it. I mentioned it a couple times on here, but I think it was my boss. I had a boss at the time. And I told her, I'm like, it feels like you want to be angry at me. And at the end of the day, like, it's harder for you to be angry at me all the time than it is to just get over shit.
Right.
Like, it's never that serious.
Oh my
In
God.
my opinion, it's never that serious. Like, if you're mad at somebody because they did some dumb shit, whatever, bro. Like,
Get over it.
You're gonna make up and it's gonna
my
be
God.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's just a lot easier to forgive somebody because when you're
Right.
holding on to anger, you're
It's
poisoning yourself. You're
100%.
you're like they say, you're drinking poison thinking it's gonna hurt the other person. And in reality, like, you're the one that lives with that.
Exactly.
They live rent free in your mind.
Exactly. And I learned this much and at a point where I really needed to. And I'm so blessed with the people that I'm surrounded by because they're at a place where, like, those things don't consume them. Whether if somebody hurt them or betrayed them or whatever, like, those things are not things that, like, sit in their mind constantly, where they're constantly talking about it. Where, like, in the past, that used to be something that was big for me. When I felt betrayed, like, that was like a very powerful feeling in me, and it made me so angry, and I needed to talk about it all the time. And now I'm at a place where I'm like, okay, this person hurt me 2 years ago. I'm gonna be still mad. Like, it's been 2 years. I cannot continue to be angry because all it's gonna do is set me back from all the growth that I was supposed to be growing and changing with in the last 2 years. So it doesn't do me anything to hold this grudge. So I'm gonna continue living the life that I've been living and say hello and not have a problem with you, because I don't. I had a problem with you, but currently I have zero issue with you. You're in my space, I'm in yours. Here we are coexisting.
Do you feel like this is where the idea of being free has come from? Because in Glory to Glory, you say, what's it like to be free? I can imagine, like, to be less easily judged by reactions. And for you, a lot of the times, these relationships have almost controlled the way that you move.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fact that you want to be accepted and loved by other people who haven't done the same for you, breaking free from that and having the freedom to not care anymore.
I feel like the way I see freedom in a way of relationships, connection, or really just like everyday life in a personal, emotional way is if I can be relieved from this weight of anxiety that constantly has me consumed by what do people think of me or what do you think of me, then that in any and every way will keep me free and at peace and clear in my mind. And like, I constantly was like, did I do something wrong? Does everyone hate me? Did I just bother somebody? I even like be thinking about my interactions with people hours later, and I'm like, did I trigger them by like shaking their hand too hard? Or like, did I just hug them and they didn't, it was just like unprovoked? Like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to break down every little portion of this interaction because I have anxiety and I'm gonna do this forever. How can I be free of that? And how can I let go of what's been consuming my mind, which is my interactions with people, but also what I think they think of me or what I've done to make them think a certain way of me. Like, if I can be free from those chains, let it be.
What role does this play in your battle with anxiety and depression?
It makes things hard. I'll break every single thing down things that like somebody wouldn't even think that deeply of, and like, and I'll go there and then I'll like introduce it. I'll go as deep as interacting with someone and then messaging them about something that they probably never thought about and being like I'm so sorry I said bless you. I hope that wasn't religiously affiliated. like what? Like Senite, get out of your head. Like, you know what I'm saying? And
Like damn, was I acting weird? What are you talking about, bro? You were fine.
you were being normal. And then I'm like, and then they start thinking about how I was acting weird. And they're like, well, now that I think about it, you were kind of like, and then I'm like, damn, I was. And then I'll go into this cycle. Or even if I'm like going out with my friend and like say, oh my gosh, because I'm a very say hi to everyone person. If I'm in, not at Gold Hayes party though. Love you, Hayes. When I'm at a event or a place, I know a lot of people. I like to say hi to everybody. Then if I come with somebody, I'll have this anxiety that they don't know these people. So I'll make this introduction and then I'll be like, did I just make that really awkward by like overly introducing somebody or overly introducing my friend? Or should I not bring them because then I'll constantly be worried about if they're comfortable and that will consume my night? Like those are things that my anxiety will take lead of. But then even with the depression part, like then it'll go into this deep rooted sadness of like, damn, did I exclude them from that conversation for 3 hours and I had no idea? And that was also just like because people could in the past told me I was being selfish. I'm like, was I being selfish? Like, did I just trigger that person? Or if somebody came to me and told me how I've hurt them, I'll constantly go into any affiliation of the ways that I've hurt them in the future moving forward. If they're like, I feel like you don't consider me enough, I'll do everything to over consider you so you feel satisfied and you know that I do consider you. Will it be me doing the most? Absolutely. But will you know that I consider you? For sure. Then let there be an opportunity for me to like mess up. I'll go into this deep, dark anxiety pool and be like, now I've just re-triggered them. Now they're going to cut me off and now they're going to ghost me and I'm never going to talk to them again because I disappointed them this one fraction of a time. And like, that's how heavy the weight of my anxiety is. And that's something I battle all the time. I'm still coming to terms with it.
I mean, it's a trauma response. It when shit like that constantly reoccurs, it makes you double think like, am I really the problem? And you have to realize like, I'm not really the problem. It's just the other person couldn't handle it. Or like you said, right? You've worked on yourself to the point where you now understand like the position and the things that I expected of people were one out of their control because it was out of my control. But on top of that, it was unfair to expect that from that specific person. So you already defeated half the battle, right? Accepting it and growing from it. Now the other part is, damn, like now I have this trauma that I can't get rid of, and I'm just gonna have this constant anxiety because that shit happens to me all the time. Those things you have to overcome, and it's not because of something that you've done, but it's because of the way you've been treated in the past.
Which I couldn't control.
Man, one of your other lyrics, right? Depression isn't moving as fast as I've asked it to. That's not the exact lyric, but you know what's the exact lyric? Because I know you know this
no,
one.
that one I know. Depression isn't moving faster than I asked it to.
What was going on?
I'm blessed to say now I have a better control of those things, you know. But once that winter time hit, ooh, and I'm in the crib and the sun goes down early, she in the bed deeply in her thoughts. And I think, and that was where I remember writing that lyric. It was November. And this was like the first day it snowed. It's like, God, I hate the winter. And I was like, oh my gosh, now I'm going to have to go through this whole phase of like deep, dark, sad seasonal depression. And it won't be easy. And I have to just wait until the sun comes up and then I'll be happy again. And like the fact that I was in this like system already where I was like, okay, it'll start at this point and it'll end at this point, and every night that I don't go outside, I'll just be in the crib in deep thought, is like what I already knew, because that was the system that I lived in, or that I created for myself. Now I have a better grasp on it. I'm still growing and changing. Of course, depression is inevitable, but I think at that time I wrote it in a sense of just being like, when will this be over? I'm trying to be happy, bro. Like, I hate that it's hard to find joy when it's dark. I'm like, now I'm finna go to sleep at 7:00. Like, look what you did. Like, and then I just took it as, me constantly waiting for, okay, another day will pass. And then here I am living in this routine. And then here I am repeating every day. And
my bad, I don't mean to cut you off, but you're living for the future. You're hoping that one day it's going to finally be better.
Exactly.
And I get the same way. I fucking hate the winter time. It's the worst.
Yeah.
Because you just start to notice all these changes within you, and it's like, how do I change this? But the only way it's going to change is once the sun comes out.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, damn. But even that, now the sun is out, and I'm watching the clock because I know the sun's going to go down. And now I got to make sure I'm doing something productive so that I'm not, consumed by the extra time that I have now. But like, then it is a looking forward thing. Okay, when will this finally be over? Or when will I get tired? Okay, now I can sleep and not be deep in my thoughts.
Ben, you know what's crazy?
What's crazy?
You performed with the Roots in 2009.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you watched Questlove win a Grammy.
I know.
Having that full circle moment, how did that affirm your purpose in what you're doing with music?
It's funny because I went to the Grammys with the people I was connected through music school with. So like everything was like super full circle. But yeah, performed with the Roots in 2009. Crazy. Went to the Grammys in 2021. Saw him win a Grammy. He sat one row behind me.
I think that's the more crazy part. Like, being at the Grammys, like, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that you watched somebody who was famous already win a Grammy in front of you after you had performed with them how old were you in 2009? Like 9?
I don't know. Yeah,
right.
probably.
We'll go with that.
Sure.
All right, sure. That's crazy.
I know. That's the full circle moment. Like, I shared a space with him when I was young, and he didn't even know who I was. Like, well, he probably did. But, like, he has this whole discography of people that he's worked with, played with, collabed with, all this. I'm like, this is not even a memory in his mind. Here I am sitting in front of him. What? I don't even know how many years later. He probably still has no idea who I am. But here I am, like, watching this gratifying moment. It was like I still was in shock. Even now, I'm still in shock. I'm like, damn, I'm sitting in a room filled with people that are going to be and are even considered for things that I'm working towards. So it was like an affirmation of like, this was exactly my purpose and like what I was supposed to do. No, neuroscience was not going to be in the plan because I performed at House of Blues with the Roots in 2009. Like, here I am in the same room with Questlove winning a Grammy. Like, it affirmed and reassured exactly what I was supposed to be doing and where I needed to be. And like, now Questlove finna watch this interview, and when I win my Grammy, he's finna be, oh, and then I saw you win a Grammy. Like, that's what I'm working towards. Like, for us to have that full circle moment when I perform at the Jimmy Fallon show and the Roots do the open thing for me, and then they meet me in backstage, and this is not delusion. This is manifestation in real life. They're like, oh, little girl. And then I'm like, I actually played with y'all in 2009. And they're like, oh my God, let's play together. Then we all jam and happily ever after. Like, those are things that I know for a fact are going to happen. Like, I couldn't be more confident. But like, you got it on video. So that's even cooler. But it's an affirmation and reassurance of exactly what I was supposed to be doing and where I'm at and where I need to be, for real.
I appreciate you coming through. I appreciate you sitting down with us for so long. I appreciate your patience beforehand. Make sure you guys go ahead, check out Senite on all streaming platforms. Make sure you go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. Sad Boys for real. Peace out.
This is Sad Boy Radio.